from Edinburgh. I've actually spoken on their behalf in the Grass Market at one of their Sabbath services. The Grass Market's important because that's where many of the Covenanters were executed in the 1680s.
It's a lovely view right down there to the Linen Hall Library, and this is again still, because this is a very large district, we said number 5 district. There's the Linen Hall Library. The parade comes down to the City Hall, and then there's a little ceremony there, isn't there?
There is. There's the laying of the wreaths in memory of the 1st of July and the Battle of the Somme in 1916, and then the parade comes on round and makes its way on up through the centre of the city to Edenderry.
King Edward VII Memorial Temperance.
So some of the Sandy Road brethren are obviously very optimistic about the weather, and they've left their jackets off, and they're in short sleeve order here as they make their way up the road. Many of these banner pictures that we see are actually found in catalogues. There are catalogues, and if you're going to order an orange banner, you can go and view the catalogue, and they'll show you all the styles that have been on the banners from years gone by. And one of the interesting things about these banner catalogues is, of course, that the trade union movement in England also uses banners. The coal miners used to use a lot of banners in their parades, and so you could actually get an admixture of both orange and trade union banners in the one booklet.
Ordering a banner, designing a banner too, must be quite a lengthy business, and a very expensive one too.
Well, the lodge has to commit itself to raising a very large sum of money to cover the cost of the banner, but on the other hand, some of these banners will last literally for years and years and years. Clover Hill Orange Lodge, the lodge I was associated with, their banner had been on parade for over 40 years, but it was looked after meticulously.
This is the Whitburn Band, flute band from Scotland. Yes, the point about the banners too is that if it is a very wet day, then obviously they will be protected, they won't be flown.
Well, this was the difficulty that you and I had to prepare for, that some of the banners would be furled and you wouldn't see them at all. But happily that's not the situation at the moment. Everybody's enjoying the bright sunny weather.
Good crowds here in Bedford Street. This is always a very popular place to come and watch the parade, and it's very much a sort of summertime festival, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Family day out.
There's another very well turned out band. And that's South Belfast Young Conquerors we're watching.
Very hard to identify them sometimes because there are a lot of bands actually. I suspect that there might be more bands this year than last.
There seemed to be a very good number of bands in the parade this year, but the variety of bands is very, very limited. Most of the bands are flute bands. The participation of pipe bands in the 12th of July parade in Belfast faded quite some time ago, and then silver bands, they dropped out as well. One of the reasons is the very long walk and the weight of the instruments that people have to carry.
Yes, I'm sure we've talked about the length of the parade from Clifton Street right out to Edenderry. It must be, what, at least 7 miles, I would have thought. Maybe more.
The big drum has a portrait of Her Majesty the Queen on it, so that's the band's particular contribution to the Golden Jubilee. Well, we've got 2 accordion bands over from Scotland, and this is one of them coming into view just at the moment with the portrait of Queen Elizabeth on the big drum. But this is actually the Queen Elizabeth accordion band from Glasgow, so it may not have any connection with the Golden Jubilee celebrations.
That's the Bridget Memorial, a very famous name in Orangism. Sergeant William Bridget, member of the lodge, killed at the Somme, and of course the name associated with banner painters and manufacturers of regalia.
The Bridgets were renowned in Orange circles for the painting of banners and for the preparation of Orange regalia as well. This is the second of our accordion bands that have come over from Scotland. Some accordions now are exceptionally pricey pieces of music, you know.
I'm sure
pay thousands of pounds for a good piano accordion these days.
So if we'd had some of the heavy rain of the last few days, that would not do too well for the instruments.
No, because the bellows could blow out if they got soaked.
Lord Carson, a very, very good view of this banner.
Well, Lord Carson was one of the most famous leaders of the Unionist movement and the anti-Home Rule movement.
That's the Lord Carson Memorial Lodge. A lot of very fancy headgear. And that's developed over the last few years, I think, hasn't it?
Yes, it's part of the fun time that people are having with the flags and the drums and the funny hats.
A lot of flags on sale today, I noticed, before the parade started. Somebody's doing a good business.
Well, I think that it's partly to do with the Golden Jubilee. There's a number of new styles of Union Jacks and other flags available, some with portraits of Her Majesty the Queen on them, and others with the map of Ulster in the middle of the Union Jack.
You were talking about the Golden Jubilee year. In fact, there was a very important parade in London not very long ago.
That parade took place in June, and those that were on it described it as one of the best Orange parades there has ever been. There were about 8,000 participants, and one very funny moment was when they came marching down towards Trafalgar Square, led by the Miller Memorial Band, and the band struck up Land of Hope and Glory simultaneously as thousands and thousands of English football supporters came out of the pubs celebrating England's win over Denmark, and they joined in spontaneously with Land of Hope and Glory, and there was a massed choir of thousands singing in Trafalgar Square to this little band from Belfast.
It's a never-ending procession here of musicians and banners and lodges.
And motor cars.
And some cars, yes, because I suppose older members of the lodges would find this walk perhaps beyond their capabilities.
Oh, quite.
As time goes on.
There's a banner with the silhouette of the men going over the top at the Somme, painted on the big drum there.
Down Protestant Boys Band there. And
there's a famous painting of the men coming up out of the trenches on the 1st of July. And of course, when you think about it, the actual Battle of the Boyne took place on the 1st of July as well, but due to a calendar change that came later in history, it's now celebrated on the 12th of July. I don't know how the people felt at that time when they lost 11 days out of their lives.
That's right. Somewhat complicated. Again, I'm sure great pride at that age to be involved and to have a role to play on the 12th of July.
Well, they're being inducted into their Orange history and their Orange traditions, and it's very, very significant for them. There's a tremendous crop of orange lilies. They keep appearing on the banner poles and on the drums. And it's an interesting fact that in the 19th century, the orange lily was actually banned by government edict as an illegal symbol. So one of the reasons why the Orange men are so enthusiastic about it was it became an important political symbol when Orangism was reviving in the middle of the 19th century.